I Kuldeep Sharma welcome you all to today's session of Daily News Analysis, where we are going to look at the most important news headlines from today's Hindu newspaper as well as the Indian Express. So let's start with the news for today. So पहली news जो है आपकी, it is regarding the China-Tibet issue, and some politicians from US has come to India and have visited Dalai Lama in Dharamshala, where the Tibetan government in exile is located. So that's why this news has come up. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to look about the historical background and how we have come to the present situation in China-Tibet issue. So starting with the first, so what is the historical background? So Tibet, which is also known as the rooftop or the roof of the world, because it is considered as the highest point of this particular world. So Tibet or Tibetan Plateau is known as the roof of the world. It is known as the roof of the world, and your Mount Everest is in Tibetan Plateau only. So before 1950, Tibet was an autonomous region. It was totally autonomous, and Dalai Lama was the person who was the spiritual as well as the temporal leader. Temporal leader कौन होता है? Temporal basically means worldly, and spiritual का मतलब हो गया other worldly. सो दोनों चीजों से रिलेट करके दोनों का ही जो लीडर होता था वो दलाई लामा होता. दलाई लामा इज नॉट अ पर्सन बट इट इज एन ऑफिस. सो जो भी इसका होल्डर होता है उसे हम दलाई लामा बोलते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल द करंट वन इज द 14th दलाई लामा. 14th दलाई लामा, ही इज द लीडर ऑफ तिब्बतन बुद्धिस्ट पीपल. नेक्स्ट, इट वाजंट लाइक कि ऑटोनॉमी को कोई चैलेंज नहीं करता था. चाइना ऑलवेज क्लेम्ड दैट इट इज द सॉवरेन ओवर तिब्बत, कि हम तिब्बत के असली मालिक हैं, हमारी सॉवरेनिटी है ओवर तिब्बत. Now finally, when the Communist Party of China came into power in the 1950s, first thing what it did was it attacked or it invaded Tibet, and which finally led to the 17-point agreement. And what was this particular agreement? That they said that we are going to accept the Tibetan autonomy. So inside Tibet, the Tibetan ruler, which is basically the Dalai Lama, it can rule however he wants to. But when it's come to foreign relations and other aspects, China would keep control over it. China would keep control over it. And we have a very recent example of Hong Kong also. So as soon as Hong Kong came under the jurisdiction of China, it started to impose its own laws, rules and regulation. And same happened in 1950s also, when China invaded and took control of Tibet also. So finally, जो वहां के लोग थे, तिब्बत के लोग थे, उन फेड अप हो गए वो चाइना के रूल से, and they started to revolt. So they started to revolt, and finally 1959 में Tibetan uprising they took arms against the Chinese rule. और 1959 is the year जब दलाई लामा, the current Dalai Lama, the 14th Dalai Lama, he fled from Tibet. He fled from China or Tibet rule and came to India. He came to India, and he came to where? He came to Dharamshala in McLeodganj. And it is a place, this Dharamshala is a place जहां पे हमने टिबेटन की गवर्नमेंट इन एक्साइल बेसिकली समवेयर in a foreign country when you create a government, it is known as government in exile. So Tibetan government in exile इन्होंने क्रिएट करी धर्मशाला में. Exactly if I tell you, the place is McLeodganj. So the exact place is McLeodganj in Dharamshala, and this particular government in exile is known as Central Tibetan Administration. So this government is known as Central Tibetan Administration, and जो अभी US के politicians हैं, fine, they have come here to meet these people. And यहाँ पे ये क्या बात कर रहे हैं? Here they made a statement that China should start talking with these people or with this particular organization and try to find a solution to the problem of US, China and as well as Tibet. मोरओवर इसके बीच में हम एक शिमला कन्वेंशन को और समझ लेते हैं. वाई शिमला कन्वेंशन इज इंपॉर्टेंट? बिकॉज 1914 के अंदर इस शिमला भी पढ़ सकते हो आप, ये शिमला भी पढ़ सकते हो. सो अर्लियर शिमला आई थिंक वाज नोन एज शिमला. एंड 1914 में देयर वाज दिस वन एग्रीमेंट और ए कन्वेंशन साइन बिटवीन द टिबेटन रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स. द चाइनीज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स वर आल्सो देयर एज वेल एज ब्रिटिश इंडिया. एंड फाइनली इन्होंने बाउंड्रीज डिसाइड करी बिटवीन ब्रिटिश इंडिया एंड टिबेट. हाउएवर Chinese, when the Chinese Communist Party came to rule China, then they rejected this particular Shimla Convention. They said that Tibet is actually part of China, so there is no point of having Tibetan representatives, so we do not agree with this particular. And it is this convention which led to the McMahon Line, the current LAC in your Arunachal Pradesh. And China do not accept this McMahon line. They said that it has been derived from Shimla Convention, which we do not agree to, and we were actually not a representative or a signatory of the McMahon line agreement. Whatever this agreement was, we were not a signatory of this. So that's why China does not accept the McMahon line as well as the Shimla Convention. However, India accepts it, and because of this, we consider this McMahon line. जो McMahon line आपकी, अगर मैं अरुणाचल प्रदेश ड्रॉ करता हूं, सो दिस इज द मैकमोहन लाइन. दिस इज द मैकमोहन लाइन. अगर ये अरुणाचल प्रदेश है तो दिस इज द मैकमोहन लाइन. इंडिया रिकॉग्नाइजेस इट एज द बाउंड्री बिटवीन चाइना एंड इंडिया. हाउएवर, the whole of Arunachal Pradesh is claimed by China as part of its South Tibet. It says that Arunachal Pradesh is actually part of South Tibet, and it claims all of Arunachal Pradesh, and this is one of the reasons why we have a dispute with China. Moving on, what is the current situation? So in 1954, India and China had this, or at least Jawaharlal Nehru felt that India China are like bhai bhai. So at that time we also had this particular slogan also, India Indi Chini bhai bhai. And because of this, in 1954 we wanted to prove something to China, and because of this we accepted that China, or that Tibet is a part of China only. Tibet is a region of China only. We accepted it in 1954, and look, this is before the 1959 Tibetan uprising took place. At that time also we said that okay, we agree that Tibet is region of China. And when in 1959 Dalai Lama came to India and formed a government, many authors or many commentators believe that it also became one of the reason for the 1962 Indo-China war. So because of this, also this became a reason for the 1962 Indo-China war, that China was very unhappy with India providing space to Tibetan leaders like Dalai Lama, etc., a space in India, and from there they could actually were criticizing China. So because of this also 1962 war took place. So current situation is China is still implementing those strict control over Tibet. All the freedoms like freedom of religion, freedom of press, etc. are not accepted. Even they are not allowed to continue with their cultural practices. Moreover, however, China is very good at building infrastructure, and the same is being done in the Tibetan region also. I hope you know the capital of Tibet. It starts with an L. If you know the capital of Tibet, please mention it in the comment box. What is the capital of Tibet? So the Chinese are building infrastructure in Tibetan region also. They have created rails, roads, etc. all of these. So very good infrastructure has been created in the Tibetan region. However, they are also trying to create a demographic change. So these are Han Chinese. So Han Chinese are the ethnic Chinese. So majority of people, majority of Chinese are of this Han Chinese ethnicity. Tibetans are of different ethnicity, and what they are doing is they are asking Han Chinese to go and settle in the Tibetan region. So you would see that many new villages are also coming up in Arunachal Pradesh, on the very near to the border of Arunachal Pradesh on the Chinese side, and very near to the border. And this is basically, these villages are being populated by the Han Chinese immigrants who are coming from different parts of China. So what is the recent development? So again, I just explained it to you that the China is trying to develop infrastructure in Tibet and border defense villages, which example I just give you in Arunachal Pradesh. On the side of the Chinese border, they are making border defense villages and even internet connectivity projects. And it is not the case that only China is doing something. India is also trying to develop the border villages, and for this it has also created a program known as Vibrant Villages Program. Vibrant Village Program, and it is a program, or it is a scheme. Vibrant Village Program, it is the scheme to develop the Indo-Chinese border or the border villages in overall. So border villages को develop करने के लिए we have created this program known as Vibrant Village Program. Okay, apart from it, there are disputes over the selection of the next Dalai Lama. So interestingly, how a Dalai Lama is selected. So it is basically the previous Dalai Lamas and a group of people who said that this particular child, or this particular Dalai Lama is going to born in this particular area, and he is going to be of this age at this time. So that's how this particular Dalai Lama is elected. So and how and why they elect it in this way? Because they believe in reincarnation. They believe that whoever new Dalai Lama is going to born, he is going to be the reincarnation of one of the previous Dalai Lama only. Because of this, they have developed this interesting process to appoint the next Dalai Lama. So this has been mentioned here also, that how the next Dalai Lama is chosen. So the Dalai Lama, the current Dalai Lama, and all the Dalai Lamas, 14 Dalai Lama, they belong to the Gelugpa tradition. Gelugpa tradition it's a tradition in Buddhism. So it's a tradition in Buddhism, and he is considered as a spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism. Currently, the 14th Dalai Lama, his real name is Tenzin Gyatso. The real name of the current Dalai Lama is Tenzin Gyatso. Okay, and then how he is appointed is also provided. So all of this, I thought it is a very good opportunity to look at the China Tibet situation, and at least we cover those portion at least which can come up in our exam also. For example, the 14th, which is the current Dalai Lama, what number he is. So he's the 14th Dalai Lama. What is the real name of the current Dalai Lama? Tenzin Gyatso is the real name. Which particular tradition the Dalai Lama comes from? It's the Gelugpa tradition. And is he the leader or not? So answer is yes, he is the leader. Apart from it, when did India recognize Tibet to be part of China? So answer would be 1954. When did Tibetan uprising took place? So the answer would be 1959. So in 1959, the Tibetan uprising took place. Where is the headquarter of the current Tibetan government in exile? So answer would be Dharamshala or McLeodganj, as the option would provide. What is Simla Convention? So you should know Simla Convention, which took place in the year 1914, was a convention or an agreement between Tibet representatives, Chinese representatives, and the British India, which led to the creation of the McMahon Line. So these are some of the questions which I can frame in front of you, and which can very well come in your exams also. Move करते हैं to the next news. So today's Hindu newspaper have a lot of really good news on the front page itself. So Dalai Lama news was also on the first page. This news was also on the first page. And what was this news? That UGC NET has been cancelled over irregularity, CBI probe ordered. So if this NEET fiasco wouldn't have taken place, probably this would have also continued. However, because there is a lot of public pressure over the examination system, the Ministry of Home Affairs had decided that there should not be any UGC NET because the paper has somehow been compromised. So what is this particular exam? So UGC NET is a eligibility examination for position of assistant professor, junior research fellowship, and for PhD admission. So if you want to do your PhD, or if you want to become a assistant professor in a central or a state university, you need to clear this particular exam, UGC NET. Okay, what is the full form of UGC NET? UGC stands for University Grants Commission, and NET stands for National Eligibility Test. So National Eligibility Test is it's an eligibility exam for assistant professor, junior research fellowship, as well as for PhD admission. And which is the authority which conducts this examination? So the very ill-famed right now, so now the ill-famed agency, the NTA, National Testing Agency, conducts it twice a year. So it doesn't happen just once, twice a year this exam takes place, and the current exam has been cancelled now. Now let's understand certain facts about the National Testing Agency, because it is coming again and again news. So agencies which are coming up in your news or have become a point of controversy, we should know certain facts about them. So first fact is, when was it established? So it was established as in 2017. So you should know the year of establishment also. What is the second point? So second thing you should understand is what kind of agency it is. So you should know it is a society registered. It's a registered society under the Indian Societies Registration Act of 1860s. All the societies are registered under it. Next is what kind of body it is. So very importantly, it is an autonomous body. Autonomous means independent, which means it is not taking any instructions from the government. It is self-sustained testing organization. What is self-sustained? It basically means that no funding would be provided to this particular organization, and it has to find out, or whatever fees it is collecting from the students or through some other sources, it has to sustain itself on its own. And it's a testing organization to conduct entrance examination for admission in higher educational institutions. So as of now, it conducts examinations for only higher educational institutions. It is possible that it may change sometime in future, but as of now, it is only responsible. Its only responsibility is to take care of higher educational institution examination. Now, under which ministry it comes up? So it comes in the Ministry of Education. So one question which I would like to ask is, what was the earlier or the precursor? What was the precursor of Ministry of Education? So before we had the Ministry of Education, we had the same ministry with some other name. What was the name of the previous or precursor of Ministry of Education? And NTA chairman, chaired by an eminent educationist, appointed by Ministry of Educationist. So no IAS, IPS officer, but a educationist is appointed as a chairman. Moreover, we have a CEO who will be the Director General to be appointed by the government. So government also appoints a CEO who is also known as a NTA Director General. Next, apart from it, there would be a board of governors also, which would be comprising of the members from user institutions. So whatever exams are being conducted by NTA, whoever higher education institutions are going to conduct or have their examination by NTA become part of their board of governors. And very importantly, which are the exams which are conducted by this particular body? So the very famous engineering JEE mains, the NEET UG, which is the point of contention, and because of this only all of these news, or because of this only we are studying NTA. Next is your GPAT exam. We also have a CMAT exam and your UGC NET, which just has been cancelled. So these are the 5 examinations which are being currently being held by this particular body only, your NT. नेक्स्ट पे चलते हैं. यूनियन कैबिनेट गिव्स गो हेड टू इंक्रीज एमएसपी ऑफ 14 खरीफ क्रॉप्स. सो वी हैव डन एमएसपी अर्लियर ऑल्सो, पहले भी हमने कई बार करा हुआ है. सो इट वुड बी अगेन अ रिवीजन फॉर सम ऑफ यू. सो व्हाट इज एमएसपी? सो एमएसपी इज द मिनिमम गारंटीड प्राइस फॉर देयर प्रोड्यूस फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट. सो फार्मर को पहले ही बता दिया जाता है क्रॉपिंग सीजन से पहले ही. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल कि अभी जो 14 खरीफ क्रॉप्स अब जो 100 होंगे मॉनसून के पीरियड में, उनके लिए क्या मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस होगा, किस मिनिमम रेट पे गवर्नमेंट उसको प्रकार करेगी, वो प्राइस अभी से डिक्लेयर हो चुकी हैं. सो इट इज अ प्राइस फ्लोर. सो फ्लोर प्राइस बोलना चाहिए एक्चुअली, इसको प्राइस फ्लोर लिखा है, फ्लोर प्राइस होना चाहिए ये. Floor price set by the government to ensure that the farmer receives a minimum price for their agriculture produce, thereby safeguarding their income. So floor price बताया जाता है. एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंटली जो क्वेश्चंस आपके डायरेक्टली बन के आ सकते हैं कि कितने क्रॉप्स होते हैं जिनके लिए आपको एमएसपी को अनाउंस किया जाता है. सो यू शुड नो कि एमएसपी इज अनाउंस्ड फॉर 22 क्रॉप्स. 22 क्रॉप्स, बट ऑलवेज रिमेंबर दैट 22 प्लस 1 भी पॉसिबल है, एंड प्लस 1 इज अ फेयर एंड रेम्यूनरेटिव प्राइस फॉर शुगर केन. So the plus 1 is basically for sugarcane and 22 are the other crops. And how many types or for what season how many crops are announced? So for the kharif season is basically your monsoon season. So for the monsoon season there the MSP is announced for 14 crops. For Rabi season it is announced for 6 crops and 2 other commercial crops. So there are 2 other commercial crops also, like your cotton and jute. Those are 2 commercial crops for which MSP is also announced. Now what is the basis on which the MSP is decided? So there is a particular committee known as this commission for agriculture cost and prices. So it's a commission framed by the government, and it is this commission which recommends. So remember this, it does not announce or it does not tells that what should be the MSP. It only recommends it to the government, and finally it is the union cabinet. So don't get confused. The job of the CACP, Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices, is only to give recommendation to the government. However, it is the government or the union cabinet which decides on the MSP. So again I'll repeat, the CACP body is only to recommend the prices. However, these are announced or are finally decided by the government only, basically represented by the union cabinet ministers. Finally, what should be the MSP or what has been the MSP? So as per the formulas which have been framed by the government, MSP should be at least 1.5 times. So it's, let's say if the cost of production is 100 rupees, then it should be at least 1.5 times, basically 150 rupees should be the MSP. So at least 50% profit should be given to the farmers. So it should be at least 1.5 times of the all India weighted average of cost of production. For your purpose, you can understand that it should be at least 1.5 times of the cost of production. So this is some facts about MSP. Moving on, so again from the Hindu first page. So I said many a times there can be really good news on the front page itself. So again, this is a very recent accident which took place. A horrible accident took place, a collision which could have been avoided. So most of the railway accidents which take place in India are avoidable accidents, and many a times the reasons are usually a human error or some signal failure. So again, one of the reason which is as of now the investigation has not been completed, so we are just guessing what are the possible case for this collision. However, it is being said that either it was a human error or there was a signaling issue or signal failure. Because of this incident took place. So you should know the name of that particular train also which was involved in the accident. So the name was Kanchenjunga Express. The accident took place in West Bengal, and it was a collision between Kanchenjunga Express and a goods train. So let's say if there would have been two trains, we should have known the name of the two trains also. Now this gives us an opportunity to study about a very important scientific development or a technical endeavor which India took, and the name is Kavach. So Kavach it is an indigenously developed, so it's made in India product, automatic train protection system. So it's more like a train safety, train collision avoidance system. Train collision avoidance system. And why we are discussing it? That if this Kanchenjunga train and that goods train would have deployed this Kavach, if they had this Kavach system in their trains, then this particular accident probably could have been avoided. And many like the whatever small investigation I have heard about, it is being said that it was a goods train loco pilot who had actually not able to observe the signal failures, and because of this he collided with this particular train. So if this Kavach would have been there in the goods train, then probably in most surety this accident could have been avoided. So that's why again the voices are started rising that we should deploy this Kavach system in all the trains, and we should take this as the first step in our train or on our railways improvement. So Indian Railways ने इसको develop करा है train collision avoidance system. And what is this based on? So the technology on which it is based on is RFID, radio frequency identification technology. So it basically uses radio frequency coming up from the trains. It sends a signal to the satellite and finally delivers a message to the other train also, and that's how this particular Kavach system works. What are the key features of this particular Kavach system? So it provides for automatic braking. It also regulates the speed. It avoids collision, and also it helps you prevent signal overrun. So basically it sends a message to the loco pilot that most probably you have overrun a signal. So it provides it also prevents a signal overrun also. So these are some of the benefits of this Kavach system, and we hope कि Indian government है इसको जल्दी से जल्दी सारी ट्रेस में deploy करे. Next पे चलते हैं. So there from the editorial section there is a really good article by Shashi Tharoor. I would advise you all, if you have the access to Hindu newspaper, at least read this particular article. So I've provided you with a summary or the main factual points which are there in this particular article. So basically the date today is June 20th, which is celebrated as World Refugee Day, and because of this at least 6 articles have come up on this refugee issue only. So today's newspaper or today's editorials on both sides is regarding the refugees problems only. So some facts which Shashi Tharoor has dealt in this article is he has talked about the UN Refugee Convention and the 1967 Protocol. This is an international convention and protocol which provides that it is a duty of all the countries or all the signatories of this particular treaty that they provide asylum to whoever who has come to their country for asking for asylum. So अगर कोई भी आपके कंट्री के अंदर दूसरे कंट्री से शरण मांगने आता है एंड देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि उसकी लाइफ को डेंजर है या उसकी फैमिली की लाइफ को डेंजर है, देन इट इज योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इफ यू आर सिग्नेटरी टू दिस पर्टिकुलर कन्वेंशन दैट यू शुड नॉट सेंड दैट पर्सन बैक. उस पर्सन को वापस नहीं भेजोगे, एंड इसको हम बोलते हैं प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नॉन रिफॉल्वमेंट. सो ये प्रिंसिपल क्या है? प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नॉन रिफॉल्वमेंट. सो लेट्स से इफ समवन हैज कम टू टेक असाइलम इन योर कंट्री, देन यू कैन नॉट सेंड दैट पर्सन बैक. दिस इज द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नॉन रिफॉल्वमेंट. But very importantly, India is not a signatory either of the Refugee Convention as well as the protocol. So India has not signed it, which means India is not bound. India is not bound by this convention and protocol. However, I believe India should sign it because India बहुत सबको ही refuge देता है, asylum देता है. You can actually see that पाकिस्तान से, आपके अफगानिस्तान से बहुत सारे refugees आते हैं. India उनको बहुत easily उनको asylum दे देता है. बांग्लादेश से आपके म्यांमार से, आपके बांग्लादेश से, आपके श्रीलंका से, आपके नेपाल में, आपके वहां से सब जगह से आपके रेफ्यूजीज आते हैं. एंड हार्डली यू वुड सी कि अगर आप लास्ट 10 ईयर्स को मिस आउट कर जाओ, यू वुड सी कि कभी भी इस टाइप से हुआ नहीं है कि आपने रेफ्यूजीज को या असाइलम सीकर्स को वापस भेजाओ. कुछ 10-15 साल से थोड़े से टेंशन बढ़े हैं, बट अदरवाइज वी हैव ऑलवेज एक्सेप्टेड रेफ्यूजीज एंड असाइलम. सो इफ आई आस्क यू and think of the mythologies also, कि who is the first diplomat and who is the first asylum seeker in India? इंडिया से फर्स्ट डिप्लोमेट कब हुआ था और फर्स्ट असाइलम सीकर क्या था? डिप्लोमेट मैं इसलिए पूछ रहा हूं बिकॉज आई वांट टू से टॉक अबाउट यूएनओ का वियना कन्वेंशन. सो व्हाट इज दिस वियना कन्वेंशन ऑन डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशन? It says that if you have a diplomat in your country, you cannot punish him or you cannot kill that person. So I'll answer this one. Try to find out who is the first asylum seeker in India. If I talk about mythology also, so first diplomat was Hanuman. So Hanuman can be considered as the first diplomat because if you remember, I'm sure all of you must have seen or have read somewhere about the Ramayana, and that when Hanuman went to Ravan's court, it was Vibhishan who said, and Ravan ordered to kill that particular person, to kill Hanuman. It was Vibhishan who said that he is a diplomat, he is a Rajdut, Shanti Dut, Rajdut, and you cannot kill a Rajdut. So because of this, वी कैन एक्चुअली क्लेम दैट वियना कन्वेंशन जो हमने 61 में फॉलो किया इंटरनेशनली, इंडिया के अंदर में पहले से कल्चर में भी था. अगेन फर्स्ट असाइलम सीकर आप किसे काउंट करोगे? मेंशन इन द कमेंट बॉक्स. वी सी, लेट्स सी कि आप इसको गेस कर पाते हो नहीं कर पाते हो. So apart from it, coming back to the issue, so India is not a signatory to both the refugee convention as well as a protocol. Moreover, India का कोई domestic asylum law भी नहीं है. So ऐसा ही नहीं कि प्रोटोकॉल और उनको साइन नहीं किया बट खुद का लॉ है. So इंडिया के अंदर में कोई डोमेस्टिक असाइलम लॉ या रेफ्यूजी लॉ भी नहीं है. एंड शशि थरूर ने 2021 के अंदर में खुद का एक असाइलम लॉ बना के इंट्रोड्यूस किया था पार्लियामेंट में, बट उसको डिस्कशन ही नहीं, उस पर कोई पैसेज हुआ ही नहीं, उसको रिजेक्ट कर दिया गया. However, so we should know that there is no asylum, domestic asylum law also. So two major community which are coming up or which have been discussed in this particular handout are Rohingyas, who have originally come from Myanmar. So these are basically Muslims who were living in the Myanmar country. And the second is Chakmas. Chakmas are basically Bangladeshi Buddhist. And they have been coming into India since 1956-62. So this is also mentioned in the handout also. So Chakmas are Bangladeshi Buddhists who came to India because they felt persecuted, because there was a dam being built in Bangladesh, and no rehabilitation took place of those people. So because of their threat to life or their uncertainty life, they started coming into India and they started to live in the Arunachal Pradesh area. So this particular case is also being discussed in this particular handout, in this particular article, and the case name is NHRC. What is the full form of NHRC? What is the full form of NHRC? So NHRC stands for National Human Rights Commission. So mention in the comment box in which year NHRC was established. NHRC को किस साल में एस्टैब्लिश किया गया था? सो दिस पर्टिकुलर केस इज अ 1996 केस. NHRC was the state of Arunachal Pradesh. So what was happening? So at that time Chakmas were coming into India and the Arunachal government, Pradesh government decided that we are going to send them back to the country from where they have come up, so Bangladesh. And let's say if someone has illegally entered into your country and he is living in your country, let's say in India, and that person is not ready to go back to the Bangladesh, so you can't force that person. So what usually the government does is that they send them to a detention center. So detention center के अंदर में उनको put up कर दिया जाता है. However, in this particular case, the Supreme Court stated that all persons living in India, यानी कि all persons लिखा हुआ है, citizens की बात नहीं हो रही, all person living in India, irrespective of nationality. So you can be a citizen of any country, you can be a national of any country. All persons who are living in India, irrespective of nationality, enjoys the inviolable rights guaranteed by Article 14, 20 and 21. So आपके पास इनको बिना वायलेट करे, इनको वायलेट नहीं किया जा सकता है. और सबके पास, अगर आप फॉरेन नेशनल भी हो, आपके पास 14 है, 20 है, 21. Article 14 of Constitution talks about right to equality. Article 20 talks about protection against conviction, and Article 21 talks about right to life and personal liberty. यानी आप किसी पर्सन की लाइफ और पर्सनल लिबर्टी उसको अनइक्वली ट्रीट नहीं कर सकते, और उसको आपको कन्विक्शन के टाइम में प्रोटेक्शन भी प्रोवाइड करने पड़ेंगे, इररेस्पेक्टिव ऑफ फ्रॉम विच कंट्री यू हैव कम अप. सो अगर आपको इन चकमास, सो इन दिस केस रिलेट्स विद चकमास पॉपुलेशन फ्रॉम बांग्लादेश, जो बांग्लादेशी बुद्धिस्ट थे, एंड इनको वापस सेंड बैक किया जा रहा था. सो अगर आपको आपको चकमास को सेंड बैक करना है तो आपको जो प्रोसीजर गिवन है उस प्रोसीजर को फॉलो करना पड़ेगा. विदाउट फॉलोइंग दैट प्रोसीजर यू कैन नॉट सेंड दैट पर्सन बैक. सो दिस वाज द एक्शन on this basis particularly Supreme Court stopped the forcible eviction of Chakma refugees from Arunachal Pradesh without a proper procedure. So Supreme Court ने clear करा कि आप procedure follow करिए, then only you can send it. So all of this is being discussed in this particular handout. So I thought let me provide you in a point wise form. So if you will read it, I am sure you would also be able to find out these points. Moving on to the next. So India US working to scale up partnership on critical minerals. So India and US and many other Western countries, they understand that we can no more rely on China, because we never know that when does China starts to attack our country also, or it starts to pressurize us to accept deals which are favorable to China only and not to us. So because of this particular partnership was launched by this particular country, US only, and it was a partnership with the allies of US. So India and all of the other developed countries which are closer to US became part of this mineral security partnership. And what is this? So it's a US led alliance. It consists of 14 developed countries, launched in June 2022. So you should know this, and you should know this. So 2022 में US ने आपकी मिनरल सिक्योरिटी पार्टनरशिप लॉन्च करी. एंड हाउ मेनी कंट्रीज आर देयर? 14 डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज आर देयर. And this particular club is also known as Critical Minerals Alliance. So what are critical minerals? Critical minerals होते क्या हैं? So critical minerals are minerals or are metallic and non-metallic elements which are being used in all modern industries. So it does not mean कि बहुत ज़्यादा क्वांटिटी में यूज होते हैं, बहुत कम क्वांटिटी में यूज होते हैं, बट जितने भी आपकी मॉडर्न इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स है, मॉडर्न इंडस्ट्रीज हैं, वहां पे क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स प्ले अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल. एंड व्हाई द यूएस हैज स्टार्टेड दिस इनिशिएटिव? बिकॉज एज ऑफ नाउ वर्ल्ड में जो क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स हैं उसके अंदर में मोर देन 75% शेयर या मोर देन 75% रोल चाइना का है. सो सब जगह में चाइना है, तो चाइना के ऊपर से अपनी डिपेंडेंसी को कम करने के लिए मिनरल सिक्योरिटी पार्टनरशिप लॉन्च करी गई थी. ओके, अब this point is given, who are the members. So all the name of the members have been provided here. So it might or might not be asked, but it won't harm if you know the 14 members. And remember, India is also a member, and India is the only country to become part of this particular MSP. There is one company also. So this is a company, and many PSUs, public sector undertakings, have been combined together to form this particular body known as the Khanish Videsh India Limited. And इसका acronym ही बहुत अच्छा है, काबिल. खनिज विदेश इंडिया लिमिटेड, ये इसका काम क्या है? बेसिकली माइनिंग जो आपकी इंटरनेशनली होती है, इंटरनेशनली माइनिंग होती है, उसके लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल. इसका काम क्या क्या है? टू इंश्योर मिनरल सिक्योरिटी थ्रू फैसिलिटेटिंग सप्लाई चेन्स, माइन एसेट एक्विजिशंस एंड G2G कोलैबोरेशन, गवर्नमेंट टू गवर्नमेंट कोलैबोरेशन कराना, एसेट को एक्वायर करना, माइनिंग के लिए एसेट्स एक्वायर करना, माइंस को एक्वायर करना. फॉर एग्जांपल हमने लिथियम के लिए साइन करा इंडिया ने, काबिल कंपनी ने, विथ अर्जेंटीना के साथ हमने एग्रीमेंट साइन करा है फॉर लिथियम माइनिंग. और ये खनिज विदेश इंडिया लिमिटेड नहीं करा है, काबिल कंपनी नहीं करा है, विद द अर्जेंटीनियन कंपनी केमन. ठीक है, तो ये आपकी एक कंपनी हो गई. इसके अलावा 14 मेंबर्स, इंडिया इज द ओनली डेवलपिंग कंट्री. 22 में ये मिनरल सिक्योरिटी पार्टनरशिप स्टार्ट हुई थी. 14 डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज आर पार्ट ऑफ इट. इट्स अ यूएस लेड अलायंस, आल्सो नोन एज क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स अलायंस. Moving on to the next one. So next is CISF yet to get orders for parliament security. So I hope you are aware कि last year our parliament shifted to a new building. So one question which you have to answer in your comment box is, so because we have shifted to the new parliament, so it is the new parliament which is known as the parliament building. So what is the new name of old parliament building? सो बिकॉज हम नई पार्लियामेंट में या नए सदन में एंटर कर चुके हैं. पुराना जो आपका पार्लियामेंट्री सदन था, लोकतांत्रिक सदन था, उसका नया नाम क्या रखा गया है? ओल्ड पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग को अब नया नाम क्या दिया गया है? मेंशन इट इन द कमेंट बॉक्स इफ यू रिमेंबर दिस. सो CISF को अब पार्लियामेंट की सिक्योरिटी, सो नई बिल्डिंग आई है, उसमें लास्ट ईयर में कुछ लोग घुस गए थे एज अ फॉर्म ऑफ प्रोटेस्ट, उनके अगेंस्ट में अभी आपका केस भी रन कर रहा है. सो दे क्लेम दैट दे आर कम्युनिस्ट एंड दे वांटेड टू सेंड अ मैसेज. तो रंग दे बसंती इस टाइप की मूवी से इंस्पायर होकर उन्होंने कुछ एक्शन लेने की सोची एंड दे वांटेड टू सेंड अ मैसेज देयर. उन्होंने कुछ भी वेपन्स नहीं कैरी करे थे, कलर बॉम्ब्स और ये सब ही थे, एंड दे वाज शाउटिंग स्लोगन्स. तो उसकी वजह से हाउएवर द इशू केम अप कि जो पार्लियामेंट की सिक्योरिटी इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, नो वन शुड मतलब इस टाइप से प्रोटेस्ट करने के लिए एंटर करके, इफ दे वुड हैव कैरीड गन आल्सो दे कुड हैव एंटर्ड दैट आल्सो. सो फाइनली बिफोर दिस स्टेप व्हिच इज बीइंग अनाउंस्ड राइट नाउ, इट वाज द दिल्ली पुलिस एंड द सीआरपीएफ. सो सीआईएसएफ से पहले इट वाज द दिल्ली पुलिस एंड सीआरपीएफ who combined to take place, or who combined to secure the parliament. Parliament security was under Delhi police and CRPS. Now it is supposed to be transferred with CISF. तो CISF बार बार न्यूज में आ रहा है, तो उसके लिए कुछ फैक्ट्स कर लेते हैं. So Central Industrial Security Force is the full form of CISF. It was established after a recommendation of Justice Mukherjee Commission. So Justice Mukherjee Commission ने इसका recommendation किया था. It was set up by an Act of Parliament. Act of Parliament से बनी है. इसका मतलब क्या हो गया, एक्ट से बनी है तो इट्स अ स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी. इट्स अ स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी. And all of these known all of these services like your CRPF, CISF, इनको combinedly हम बोलते हैं CAPF. सो सीएपीएफ अलग से कोई फोर्स नहीं होती है, इट्स अम्ब्रेला टर्म, इट्स एन अम्ब्रेला टर्म फॉर ऑल द पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेज ऑफ इंडिया. सारी पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेज जो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स के अंदर आती हैं उन सबको हम सीएपीएफ बोलते हैं, सेंट्रल आर्म्ड पुलिस फोर्सेज, एंड ऑल ऑफ दीज आर अंडर मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स, विच मीन सीआईएसएफ भी, सीआरपीएफ भी, और बाकी की ये सब भी सारी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स में आती हैं. सो अपार्ट फ्रॉम सीआईएसएफ दो अदर सिक्स जो आपकी ये सेंट्रल आर्म्ड पुलिस फोर्सेज हैं, कौन कौन सी हैं, एक तो आपकी बीएसएफ, एक है आपकी आईटीबीपी, एक है आपकी सशस्त्र सीमा बल एसएसबी, एक है आपकी असम राइफल, द ओल्डेस्ट पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स ऑफ इंडिया. नेक्स्ट योर नेशनल सिक्योरिटी गार्ड, जो सबसे ज्यादा एडवांस लेवल पे जिनकी ट्रेनिंग होती है, एंड फाइनली योर सीआरपीएफ. सो सीआईएसएफ एंड दीज 6 कंबाइंड टू फॉर्म द सीएपीएफ. तो ये आपके हो गए. हेड कौन करता है इस पर्टिकुलर सीआईएसएफ को, तो जो हेड होता है ही इज द डायरेक्टर जनरल, एंड बेसिकली ही कम्स फ्रॉम द इंडियन पुलिस सर्विस. सो आईपीएस ऑफिसर होता है एंड उसकी जो रैंक होती है वो होती है डायरेक्टर जनरल की, और पोजीशन का नाम होता है डायरेक्टर जनरल. अब इनका मैंडेट क्या है, सो एज द नेम सजेस्ट ये इंडस्ट्रीज को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए क्रिएट करे गए थे, एंड मेजरली गवर्नमेंट ओन्ड इंडस्ट्रीज को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए इनको स्टार्ट किया था. हाउएवर उसके बाद में जो आपने ज्वाइंट वेंचर पीपीपी, पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप में आपने अगर कोई कंपनी ओपन करी, या फिर कोई प्राइवेट अंडरटेकिंग भी है, कोई प्राइवेट कंपनी लाइक रिलायंस हो गई, अडानी हो गए, इनको भी अगर कोई सिक्योरिटी चाहिए अपने एरियाज की, तो वो सीआईएसएफ की सर्विसेज को ले सकते हैं. हाउएवर यू शुड नो दिस कि प्राइवेट अंडरटेकिंग्स को पैसा देना पड़ता है, प्राइवेट अंडरटेकिंग या प्राइवेट कंपनी को पैसा देना पड़ता है, और ये इसका मतलब यही है. इट ऑल्सो प्रोवाइड्स कंसल्टेंसी सर्विसेज टू द प्राइवेट सेक्टर. तो आप इनकी सर्विसेज ले लीजिए, या ये आपको कंसल्टेशन भी दे सकते हैं कि आप कैसे अपने फैक्ट्री की या अपने पर्टिकुलर इंडस्ट्री को कैसे बेटर प्रोटेक्ट कर सकते हैं. इसके अलावा ये कहां पे डिप्लॉयड है वो सब प्रोवाइडेड है. इसके अलावा वेरी इंपॉर्टेंटली इट हैज द लार्जेस्ट परसेंटेज ऑफ विमेन इन इट्स फोर्स. सो सीआईएसएफ के अंदर में सबसे ज्यादा विमेन ऑफिसर्स या विमेन डिप्लॉयड आपको सोल्जर्स मिल जाएंगे. इस फोर्स के अंदर में सबसे ज्यादा विमेन परसेंटेज जो है वो सीआईएसएफ के अंदर में. दिस पॉइंट बिकम्स इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू. सो दिस इज सम फैक्ट्स रिगार्डिंग सीआईएसएफ. मूव ऑन करते हैं. सो पीएम इनॉग्रेट्स नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी कैंपस इन बिहार. सो नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी का हमने नया कैंपस बनाया है, और अब बिकॉज ये कैंपस स्टार्ट हो गया तो अब यहीं पर आपकी सारी स्टडीज होगी. सो बेसिकली यूजी नहीं पीजी कोर्सेज कराए जाएंगे, पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट कोर्सेज कराए जाएंगे, पीएचडी कराई जाएगी यहाँ पे. एंड कुछ फैक्ट्स हम नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए भी कर लेते हैं. सो नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी स्टैंड आउट एज द मोस्ट एंशियंट यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ द इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट. सो इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट की सबसे एंशियंट यूनिवर्सिटी है. मैनी पीपल बिलीव दैट इट इज द ओल्डेस्ट यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. ओल्डेस्ट यूनिवर्सिटी आपकी. किसने इसको फॉर्म किया था? सो कुमार गुप्ता ऑफ गुप्ता डायनेस्टी. कुमार गुप्ता ऑफ गुप्ता डायनेस्टी इन बिहार, एंड स्पेसिफिकली यू शुड एग्जैक्टली नो ये कहां पर है. सो इट इज इन राजगीर. यू शुड एग्जैक्टली नो कि नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी कहां पे. इट इज इन राजगीर इन बिहार. अर्ली 5th सेंचुरी में करा था और 600 ईयर्स तक अंटिल 12th सेंचुरी तक इसने बहुत अच्छा काम किया था और वहां पे ये बहुत ही बड़ी फ्लरिश हुई थी, नॉट जस्ट फ्रॉम इंडिया बट आसपास की कंट्री से, एज फार एज फ्रॉम चाइना, कोरिया, जापान, तिब्बत, मंगोलिया, श्रीलंका, साउथ ईस्ट से, यहां से भी स्कॉलर्स आते, स्टूडेंट्स आते थे यहां पे स्टडी को गेन करने के लिए। एंड नॉट जस्ट आपको सुपरस्टिशन या हिंदुइज्म के बारे में पढ़ाया जा रहा था, आपको मेडिकल सिस्टम, आयुर्वेदा, रिलीजन ऑल्सो, बुद्धिज्म, मैथ्स, ग्रामर, एस्ट्रोनॉमी, इंडियन फिलोसफी, ये सब भी आपके सब्जेक्ट्स वहां टीच किए जाते थे। एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंटली कि इसको 12th सेंचुरी तक ये फ्लरिश करी, 12th सेंचुरी के बाद ये खत्म हो गई। एंड व्हाट वाज द रीजन? इट वाज डिस्ट्रॉयड इन द 12th सेंचुरी एडी इन 1193 में। एंड किसने किया था इसे? बख्तियार खिलजी, जो खिलजी डायनेस्टी थी उसके कुतुबुद्दीन ऐबक का ये जनरल था, बाद में दे बिकम द रूलर ऑफ इंडिया। टर्किश कुतुबुद्दीन ऐबक के जनरल थे, बाद में यही रूलर बन गए बख्तियार खिलजी। ही वाज द वन हु डिस्ट्रॉयड द नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी। एंड मैनी पीपल से कि यहाँ पे इतनी बुक्स थी कि कई हफ्तों तक, कई महीनों तक उसमें आग लगी रही, आग जलती रही। ओके, फाइनली रीडिस्कवरी किसने करी? सो इट वाज रीडिस्कवर्ड इन 1812 बाय स्कॉटिश सर्वेयर फ्रैंकिस बुकनन हैमिल्टन एंड इट वाज आइडेंटिफाइड एज द एंशिएंट यूनिवर्सिटी। सो बेसिकली इस यूनिवर्सिटी को जो इसके आपके एविडेंसेस थे वो तो इस सर्वेयर ने आइडेंटिफाई करे, बट इट वाज अलेक्जेंडर कनिंघम इन 1861 द फाउंडर ऑफ आर्कियोलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया। इट वाज दिस पर्सन who actually found out that it is the ancient university of Nalanda. So Alexander Cunningham ने 1861 में क्लैरिफाई करा कि this is the ancient university, जो हम जिसको हम नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी बोलते हैं। More important, the very last point, it is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So mention in the comment box कि इंडिया में कितनी वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट्स हैं, कितनी वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट्स हैं इंडिया के अंदर में, मेंशन इट इन द कमेंट बॉक्स। बहुत इजी क्वेश्चन है, कई बार अगर आप क्लैट प्रेप के स्टूडेंट्स हो आपके मॉक में भी ये क्वेश्चन आता रहता है। सो दीज आर सम फैक्ट्स अबाउट नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी। नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी क्योंकि न्यूज में है, सो पॉसिबल है कि हिस्ट्री से आपका नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी पे क्वेश्चन आ सकता है। ओके, सो कुछ हम वन लाइनर्स को भी फॉलो कर लेते हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, हु हैज बीन सॉन इन एज द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ साउथ अफ्रीका? सो सिरिल रामाफोसा, हु वाज द इनकम्बेंट प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ साउथ अफ्रीका, ही हैज वॉन द सेकंड फुल टर्म। ऑल्दो जो इनकी पार्टी है ANC, अफ्रीकन नेशनल कांग्रेस, जो लास्ट 40 ईयर से नेल्सन मंडेला की पार्टी थी अफ्रीकन नेशनल कांग्रेस, लास्ट 40 ईयर से ये पावर में थी। एंड इस साल इसको फुल मेजोरिटी नहीं मिली खुद को, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस दे हैव कम अप विद अ कोएलिशन गवर्नमेंट। एंड फाइनली साउथ अफ्रीका के रामाफोसा has become the president of South Africa. सेकेंड न्यूज एक और है आपकी, ईरान रेवोल्यूशनरी गार्ड्स डिक्लेयर टेररिस्ट ग्रुप बाय कनाडा। सो ईरान रेवोल्यूशनरी गार्ड जो बेसिकली आपका ईरान की आर्मी का पार्ट है, एंड इसका जॉब है बेसिकली कि जो इस्लामिक रेवोल्यूशन हुआ था और जो आपकी ईरान की अभी सुप्रीम आयतुल्ला है और उनकी गवर्नमेंट है उसको प्रोटेक्ट करना। एंड इस ईरान रेवोल्यूशनरी गार्ड को बिकॉज इट इज एलिजिड मैनी अ टाइम्स कि ये टेररिस्ट एक्टिविटीज में इन्वॉल्व होती है, कनाडा ने डिसाइड करा है इसको एज अ टेररिस्ट ग्रुप डिक्लेयर करने के लिए। सो आपके लिए भी एक क्वेश्चन है, आप कमेंट बॉक्स में आंसर कर सकते हो कि इंडिया किस पर्टिकुलर एक्ट के अंदर में किसी पर्सन को भी टेररिस्ट डिक्लेयर कर सकता है एंड किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को भी टेररिस्ट डिक्लेयर कर सकता है। कौन सा इंडिया का एक्ट है जिसके अंदर में इंडिया डेजिग्नेट करता है? एंड द न्यूज हियर इज कि ईरान के रेवोल्यूशनरी गार्ड को किस कंट्री ने टेररिस्ट ग्रुप डिक्लेयर करा है? सो इट इज कनाडा। नेक्स्ट पे आते हैं, सो द लास्ट न्यूज फॉर टुडे कि रशिया और नॉर्थ कोरिया, जो रशिया में व्लादिमीर पुतिन एंड आपके नॉर्थ कोरिया के अंदर किम जोंग उन, इन्होंने आपका एक एग्रीमेंट साइन करा है और नो बार्ड फ्रेंडशिप टाइप का ये एग्रीमेंट है। एंड व्हाट इट बेसिकली सेज कि अगर किसी दोनों में से किसी भी कंट्री पे अगर अटैक होगा तो दूसरा कंट्री जो होगा वो उसको असिस्ट करने आएगा, उसकी फुल हेल्प करेगा। सो अगर रशिया और नॉर्थ कोरिया पे कोई भी अटैक करता है, लेट्स से कल US डिसाइड करता है टू अटैक ऑन नॉर्थ कोरिया, तो रशिया अपनी फुल पावर के साथ ही नॉर्थ कोरिया की हेल्प करने आएगा। सो यू शुड नो दिस ऑल्सो कि रशिया और नॉर्थ कोरिया के बीच में अभी एक एग्रीमेंट साइन हुआ है। मोर ओवर, व्लादिमीर पुतिन ही विजिटेड नॉर्थ कोरिया आफ्टर 24 years. So in 24 years, first time a Russian president has gone to North Korea. इससे पहले Russian president for the last 24 years he did not, or no Russian president visited North Korea. But 24 years के बाद में it is a Russian president Vladimir Putin who went to North Korea to have this particular agreement. So students, that's it from the today's Hindu news analysis, Hindu and Indian Express news analysis. Most of the news are from the Hindu newspaper only, because today's Hindu newspaper had a lot of news coverage, and most of the news which are there in Indian Express also have been covered here also. So that's why we have thus mainly covered the Hindu newspaper only. So that's it from my side. Thank you and have a very nice day.